I've got to fill in some old hinge areas that I change hinges on a door, and this stuff right here has been my go-to wood filler pretty much forever. As long as I could get this Gorilla stuff, this stuff seems to always work great and holds really well and hardens nicely. So let's get this thing open so you can see what it looks like. So this is what it's going to look like on the inside. This is the natural finish. So if you see right there, it says natural finish. I don't know if they have other colors on this because this is basically the one I always get. But when this dries, if it's like a natural pine that's unpainted, it's actually somewhat hard to see if it's a small hole. I mean, it's going to be a little bit different color, but it dries in a nice color. And this stuff paints really easy. You can even stain it with oil-based paints, all that kind of stuff. So this is what I use. We plan on painting it. We're going to paint over it with white. But like I said, I'm going to show you what this looks like as I put it to fill in the hinges on the door. It usually takes about an hour for like small spots, and then for like larger areas where I have to put a lot of this, I give it a day. But I think it said 2 to 6 hours, something like that. But I usually just mess with it the next day. Let's get it working. So as you can see here, I had to do a little work on these hinges. The hinges that came with this new door that we put in didn't fit the same hinge holes and everything we had last time. I even had to put in a shim on the back of this hinge here to fill this in so it fit right. But I want to fill in all of those little gaps around it to make it look like it was never even modified. So I can either use a little putty knife like I'm going to use here, or you can use pretty much what your mama gave you and just use your finger and just squish it all in there. Now I recommend using a tool, but I use my finger a lot of times to fill that stuff in. And sometimes that's just the easiest way to get it into those tight little sections over there. Now if you're filling in a really big gap, this probably isn't the best. It's not super tacky, so it's not going to fill in big gaps. It's kind of like a sandy putty. But when it comes to this kind of size holes, like you can see here, I had already filled that in. I used my finger, and it was a pretty good size gap there. Fills that with no problem. But if you have like a really big hole and you're trying to just fill it in, it's probably not going to stick well. So use this for the smaller gaps, cracks, things like that. And the good thing about this stuff is it doesn't shrink. I haven't had a problem with it like shrinking up, cracking, falling out. Once I put it in, it's usually pretty good. So, all right, well, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you all very much for watching. Take care.